Joining us now on Blitz is Josh Shoemaker, first-year head coach of the Banks County Leopards. Josh, really appreciate your time. Thank you for being on here at Blitz.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, and thank you for the coverage. We really appreciate it. I know our kids do, and our community, and our coaches, so thank you.
Absolutely, and I love getting to talk Leopards football with you. Adjustments that you've had to make, talk about what some of those have been taking over the program. The good thing is you have the familiarity there because you've been in this program for 3 years, and last year you were the line coach as well. So what are the biggest adjustments you've had to make to step into the head coaching job?
Well, the two biggest adjustments we're having to make is, number one, we're having to replace 5 seniors up front on the offensive line. And being the offensive line coach also, that puts a heavy burden on me on getting those guys replaced and getting them in our offense. And that's the biggest challenge, or the biggest thing so far offensively. And defensively is we're somewhat staying with the same scheme, but we have a new defensive coordinator in Todd Samples, and him putting his touch on it and his spin and getting his concepts put in our defense has been the two biggest challenges so far.
And you guys are straight off back-to-back 500 seasons, and unfortunately, both of those years it looked like getting late in the season that the Leopards were going to be able to pull off a state tournament appearance. What have the guys learned over the last couple of years about maybe closing out the regular season schedule?
Well, that's interesting. You said that when I got the job and I had my first staff meeting before I hired a couple, the new guys I had, but I met with the guys that were going to stay, and that was the first issue that I wanted to address was how do we do better about closing? Because you're correct. The last 2 years, 3 games on both seasons at the end of the year, all we had to do was win 1 and get in, and then in 5 of those 6 games we were competitive. We couldn't close the deal, like you said. So first meeting I had was how do we adjust our summer, how do we adjust our workouts and our preseason practice, and even our approach to the beginning of the season, that we were able to finish better, to close better. So overall issue, that would be probably the number one issue that I wanted to address, and I feel like we've done a great job at that so far. And obviously we won't know till we start kicking them off on Friday nights, but that's what we're trying to change, and that's what we're trying to do, is to be able to close better. Absolutely.
Yeah, and you kind of alluded to this just a few minutes ago, but you're in a unique position not only to take over this program and be familiar with it already, but unfortunately no coach is immune to turnover, and you got to replace guys like Treve Kane in the backfield and Zez Steeple on the outside. How are things looking at replacing some of those skill players from last year?
Yeah, that was probably issue number 2 that we talked about. You're talking about a kid in Treve who was a 1,400-yard, 15-16 touchdown kid, and then Zesman was an absolute deep threat anytime he was on the field. And so, personnel-wise, I don't know if you ever replace a Treve, but I believe we've got some kids in Clayton Dykehouse and Demetrius Walker who are going to carry the football for us, who are going to be great backs. They just they need some touches. They need to be able to show what they can do. And then some kids, I'm going to tell you, buddy, we've worked hard over the summer. We had the best July that I believe we've had since I've been here. And our wideouts and receivers have done a great job at working on their speed and agility. So I don't know if you quite replace those guys. We just have other kids that are going to step up and will be those threats.
Sure.
And, they'll have an opportunity to display their talents, that's for sure.
Sure, but one thing that makes your job a little bit easier is bringing back your quarterback, Griffin Goodwin. What are the expectations you have for him this year? I'm sure there's going to be a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to tell you that one of the mainstays that I knew coming back was in Griffin, and I really appreciate him because he has worked harder this offseason than he's ever had. I mean, he's our offensive guy. I mean, he's a field general. He knows he can check us into the right play. He's been in this offense long enough, and he knows where kids are supposed to go and what they're supposed to be doing. And he's done a great job by vocally leading, but also by leading by example in the weight room and when we've done conditioning and in practice. He's done a great job, and I'm looking for big things out of him. His decision-making has gotten a lot better, and we got some kids that are going to surround him that allow him to just I'm looking for a big year out of him, and I believe he can do it.
Yeah, luckily for you guys too, you got eight of your defensive starters coming back, and you mentioned having some guys that are going to be up and coming and stepping in the spotlight this year. But one guy that's already on everyone's radar, we're hearing all about him, is Jackson Ramey, a freshman lineman that's, I believe, 6'4", 270. How special and what does the ceiling look like for this kid?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I don't know what the ceiling looks like for him, but he definitely has the size and the ability right now to step in and help us. Now, he's still a 14-year-old kid. He's still going to be a freshman, and he's never been under the lights, so that pressure is going to be big for him. He's going to see the field eventually. He's been working hard this summer also and trying to learn our system and learn what we do. And yeah, he can be a special player, and he's worked really hard. He's got some, he's got to work on his footwork, and then getting in our system and being around us coaches, and it's just a different animal when you get up on this level. And so he's going to be just fine. He's going to be a special kid, I believe, and like any football player, if he can stay injury free and be coachable, and he's got a great attitude, and he's very coachable in doing that. So he'll have big things. He's going to have a great career.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of colleges already taking a look at him, so I'm sure that's just more to come from that. But as you move into kind of transitioning a new era of Leopards football here, it kind of coincides with dropping down to Region 8 AA, which doesn't mean it's going to be any easier. You got Raven County in the mix, and still a tough region down there. Talk about your expectations dropping down into AA.
Yeah, and this is what I tell people. They kind of feel like we've been familiar with who we've been playing in the West Hall, the East Hall, Fannin, Dawson, Lumpkin, and all that. Now we go to a totally different style of a region, if you will. For us, we're going to have to go to Raven and go to Elbert County, and everybody knows about the Granite Bowl. Those are two places that we got to travel to. And Raven, we get Raven early, so those are going to be Raven's going to be a big game early in the year, and the familiarity part is going to be good for us because the non-familiarity is going to challenge us as coaches, because now we're moving to different teams, different level of speed. It's just going to be totally different for us. I absolutely believe we can compete in this region, and I look for big things out of us in this region. I like where we sit top to bottom in it, and just looking forward to it, man. Just really looking forward to getting into the region play. If we can get into region play injury-free, we're absolutely going to compete.
Yeah, your excitement is contagious, and Josh, I really appreciate it, man. I hope you have a great season. Look forward to talking to you again during the year.
Yes, sir, absolutely. You come, like I said, man, you call anytime you want to. You come by anytime you want to. I just appreciate the coverage for our kids and our community and everything y'all do for Banks County, buddy. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Go Leopards.